y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show. This is episode number 233. My name is Jason. I'm the owner of Outdoor Legacy. And as always, I've got my co-host and the number one thermal salesman in the world, Mr. Hans of the Hans East Texas YouTube channel. What's going on tonight?
I thought you were the number one. You finally give me the crown now?
I don't know. Sometimes you just be nice to me. No,
exactly.
I think you're the number one. I think you're number one.
I tell you, I want to thank everybody out there that's been calling, because a lot of people have been taking our advice and calling us for help with any thermal and night vision questions they have, because our phones have been going crazy, y'all. It's getting that time of year. Rifle season and deer season is about to start. People are out in the fields checking their feeders and noticing that they've got either coyote problems, hog problems, raccoon problems, you name it. But I want to thank all of y'all for calling, checking in with us, getting our opinions on the best optics, and ultimately many of you are purchasing your optics from us. So thank you for that. So if you are interested, and I'm going to get right into the commercial break here right now here in the beginning, Jason, if you're interested in any night vision or thermal optic, you can give us a call, 877-350-1818. You can find all of our optics on outdoorlegacygear.com. You can talk to one of our great office managers, Angela or Michaela. I tell you, Jason, you and I get more compliments on them, probably more than us. We do. The people, everybody that seems like I talk to, they're like, man, I talked to Angela or I talked to Michaela, and they are the best. Y'all should give them a raise and give them the week off or whatever. But they're wonderful, y'all. And if you get a chance to speak with us, please tell us how great they are. But we do appreciate, we do appreciate your call. And every time you do tell us how great they are, we relay that information to them as well. So we appreciate you calling.
Yeah, and guys, listen, Hans is right. We do appreciate you calling. We appreciate your business. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what keeps this show going. And so we would love to have your business. And if you're looking to purchase that optic, like I said, give us a call. Call us first, and we want to help you. And we're going to get into a show here, and you're going to understand why. Today is going to be a discussion on what we call the state of the industry, and that's the state of the thermal and night vision industry. This is a show that we've done a lot over the years of this podcast, just kind of getting and taking a break and saying, all right, let's all catch our breath. Where are we at? I mean, what's going on in the industry? And I understand to a lot of people this is inside baseball, and a lot of guys don't care. Totally understand that. But there's also a lot of guys who do. They say, listen, maybe I already own an optic. I'm looking for a second one. Maybe this is going to be my first time getting into this, but I want to know what's going on. I want to know, where is the ball moving? What's the next big thing? What's going on? And even just who are the major players? Because things change and it gets very confusing. So this is going to be a topic that we're calling today the State of the Union post 1280. Yeah. And what that briefly means is for the first time ever, there is now a hunting optic that is being introduced into the market with a 1280 high resolution, super high resolution thermal sensor. So in the past, 640 by 480, 640 by 512, that's what we've always called high resolution. It's as high as it gets. But now 1280 is on the way. We've already reviewed the scope. It is going to be the Infrared iRay USA Rico RS75. It's going to come in at a very expensive price of $17,999. And we know that's a lot. We're going to talk about that in this show as well, and the very high price of this and why and kind of what that means. So anyway, we believe that the day that this optic was produced and announced and will soon be actually hitting the market in production units, we believe that the entire thermal industry for hunting changed. Mm-hmm. It's a new day. It's a new era. Things changed that day, and we'll never put the genie back in the bottle. There's going to be changes that start here at the top, and they work themselves all the way down through the whole industry. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff.
it seems like, and you bring up a good point with the release of the 1280. Let's not fake ourselves and everybody else out there, Jason. The release of the 1280 has, I think, garnered a bunch of positive interest, a lot of questions, and a lot of hate as well.
Yes.
I mean, we're not going to hide it. You're right. We do the state of the industry usually 2 or 3 times a year. And a lot of times it corresponds with significant changes in the industry, whether new releases or, SHOT Show is a big deal. So we do the state in the industry usually before SHOT Show. And it's kind of funny. We're making plans about going to Vegas this year and kind of making travel arrangements. And kind of, with the release of the 1280, with SHOT Show coming out, with some of the things that are on the horizon, that you and I have meetings with manufacturers coming up towards the end of the year that, kind of show us the playbook and see what's going on and get a little bit of our insight. It's a busy time. The 1280 is a significant step in a direction that a lot of people have been asking about for quite a while. Is it coming? Is it coming? And I think it got here a little bit earlier than a lot of people anticipated, but that shows what goes on behind the scenes. I mean, these manufacturers, as you know, Jason, more than anything, they don't just decide, in the spring, hey, we're going to come out with a 1280 in the fall. This is years in advance in planning. We are lucky as dealers to have a little bit of inside knowledge, but we don't have, I don't think, years advance inside knowledge. We may have quarters or maybe even several months, but when these things come out and when they're released, it gives us a chance to not just help introduce it to the market, but at the same time do these shows with the state of the industry. And it's important for us because we almost have to reset and kind of look back and say, okay, this is where we're at, this is where we are going, or this is where we were, and this is where we're going. And that's what this show is about. We're going to take a look at, like Jason said, about where we're at right now with the 1280 release. I'm going to recap a little bit of the highlights from this past year. I'm going to go back a little bit since this past year, kind of go through the manufacturers and some of the optics that have been released, maybe a few optics that have not been released yet, but a lot of people know about and have been asking about. And then we're going to talk about the 1280 and what it means for the industry. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the feedback from the 1280, and then we're going to close it out with where do we go from here. And before the show, Jason and I are like, I don't know, where do we go from here? So we're gonna.
I want to say one quick thing. Yeah, Hans is right. We don't know where we're going with this show, right? But it's a discussion. This is a very unscripted show for us. This is a show where we're literally talking out amongst two guys who are neck deep, in thermal and night vision optics every day, and again, not just selling them, but working with manufacturers and trying to keep our finger on the pulse of the industry. We don't see ourselves as just two guys out selling thermals. I mean, we do, but we want to know more than that. We want to, we literally, I think that's a good description. I want to have my finger on the pulse of what's going on with this industry. I mean, because of the show, because of our relationship with manufacturers, we want to be the best at what we do. Yeah. And we want to have the knowledge, and we want to have an idea of where that market is going. And I think that a lot of that information helps me when I'm talking to a customer and advising him on when he's like, hey, if I buy this now, what do you think is going to be the next thing next year? Should I wait? Whatever. So anyway, there's a lot to this. We really enjoy it. But one thing I want to say, there's been a lot of discussion of 1280. Obviously, it's in the title. There's going to be a lot more discussion. But I don't want you to think, if you're listening to this, saying, hey, I haven't got the money for an $18,000 scope, I'm fixing to tune out, I don't care. It's not all about this scope. It's about the concept of this scope. It's about the idea that this scope now exists and how that affects every inch and every facet of this entire, hunting optics market. So don't think this is just about this one expensive scope. It's about how it changes everything and how it's probably going to change eventually the optic that you're going to buy or potentially buy.
You're exactly right. This show isn't about the RS-75, the $18,000 scope.
Right.
It is about the concept. It is about what does this mean for all the other scopes out there on the market and all the scopes that are coming. So this is an important show, I think, for if you're in the market for a $2,000 scope, stay tuned to this show. And these type of unscripted shows, the reason why I love them and the reason why Jason hates them is Jason loves a plan, and that's what's great about him, and that's why he's very successful. Yeah. The reason why I'm not successful is because I hate having a plan, and I like to wing it. But you are, as a listener, and this is 100% true, Jason. You as a listener. On the show right now, watching on Thursday or whenever you're watching, the middle of October 2022, you're getting a glimpse of Jason and I's basically daily conversation. We talk multiple times a day when we're not on the phone, and we're talking about, okay, what's coming? What are we doing? What do we see coming? I mean, you're getting a glimpse of a very raw, unscripted conversation that Jason and I have on a daily basis, and that's what's great about it, because I kind of like being on the edge of thinking, okay, what am I about to say? Am I about to get in trouble for it or not? Is this going to be bad or not? But, and I know that
you have to ask, you shouldn't say it.
Yeah. So anyway, we've built all of this up. I'm going to go run through again. Let's highlight some of the things that some of these manufacturers have done, because there's been a lot. And as you know, this show is basically almost turned into a review program, and not necessarily by choice, but because of where we're at. But we're going to start with Infrared Outdoor with iRay. Some of these things, you may be like, well, what the heck is that? I haven't heard of that. Well, we may have not talked about it yet, or it may be coming out, but some of you might have heard about it. But you might have heard about the Ricoh G series, Jason, and I know you've heard about it, but a lot of people out there have heard about it or not heard about it. That's the new scope that's coming out very soon. The Ricoh Gs are the Ricoh style scopes with the laser rangefinders. A lot of questions about them. We are going, some of them are going to be here soon, and we're going to be testing them. So you haven't seen that yet. But as all of y'all remember and seeing on this show, the zoom monoculars, that's the first optical zoom thermal on the market, produced by Infrared Outdoor. You got the Zoom ZH38 and the ZH50 that was released. Of course, you got both of the micros, which are the helmet mountable, weapons mountable, and handheld monocular, very tall thermal monocular produced by Infrared Outdoor, that people have been very excited about, the 384 and the 640 version. Of course, the RS-75, the big dog, the $18,000 1280 scope that we've talked about. Also, the release of the Alpha. That was a little bit earlier this year that a lot of people anticipated. It was a long time in the release, but finally got here and we got a chance to talk about it. As you know, Infrared Outdoor iRay USA has the bolts, which is the tube style scope. They got the 384 and the 640 version that was just released that we reviewed. The two cabin monoculars, that very small handheld monoculars that they released that have been great sellers, great optics in that, $2,500 and under thermal monocular market. And then the Ricohs that have been around for quite a while. You got the brand new RH35, which is the 640 two-power Ricoh that was released not that long ago. And, of course, the RH50 and the RL42, which have been great optics for them, kind of their foundation. So that series was really the first that was released. Moving on to AGM, as you know, they've had some stuff that they've released that we haven't talked about on the show, and it's not for a lack of trying. We're just trying to get to everything, but we've talked a lot about the Taipans. The Taipans have been wildly successful, as well as the Radlers, the 640s, and the 384s. The 384, Jason, has been one of the best sellers that we've had in a long, long time, in the two different model in the 340 resolution class. The 4 models of the adders that were just released, the tube style scopes from AGM, which have been amazing scopes, especially the ones in the 384 resolution class under 3,000. And then you got the 4 different varmint models that we have talked about that have been released on the show. Again, there have been some other things released, but we haven't had a chance to talk about as of yet. But those have been the main staples. from that company, and they've been really, really very successful. Bearing Optics, man, Jason, they're just, I don't want to say slow, but they're steady, slow and steady, and that's what wins the race. Isn't that what they say? Slow and steady wins the race?
I think so. I got really scared when you said they were slow. And I was
No,
like,
no. I mean, they're just they just keep.
It's like, what
They
is
don't
this?
have.
This is unscripted. This is what we get. He's already
no, man.
insulted
They
Bearing.
don't. We
No,
love
that-
it because they don't have this huge catalog. I mean, they've got a lot, and they've been around for a long time. They've got a lot of night vision stuff, but the things that we carry, the things that we sell, they came out with the Super Yoder, which is basically the 640 version of the Super Hogster, which they've got the 3 different Super Yoder models, the 1.5 power, the 2 power, and the 3 power, which have all been great. The Super Hogster A3, which is the upgrade from just the regular Super Hogster, and then the Hogster Vibes, which are the upgrade from those just the regular Hogster 25 and 35. So you got the Hogster Vibes. The reason why I say slow and steady, they improve their models. Their models do very well, perform very well, and man, a lot of people.
I just want to say one thing. Yeah, to what you're saying there. What is nice, and it's a breath of fresh air. So, Bearing, if you happen to be listening to this, thank you.
We love it. Yeah.
They don't have this huge pile of models.
Yeah.
They've got something for everybody. You're looking for scopes, under $3,000 in the entry level. We've got a couple for you. Hey, you're looking for something in the $3,000 to $4,000. Hey, we've got a couple. Hey, by the way, we can even get you $640 in that price range. We got something there. Hey, you're looking for something that's even the higher end $640, but still good price under $5,000. We got one for you. I mean, it is a breath of fresh air. We could talk about the whole line, and you don't get all bogged down. It's like, what's your price range? Here's the bearing scopes that fit that. And so anyway, it's like that's what Hans meant, but we really do like it. We would much prefer it. Manufacturers, if y'all are listening, y'all probably know this because we've told you before, but we would love to take your product catalog and chop it in half. Let us pick the best ones, and then there's just less out there for us to talk about. But that's
you're exactly right.
What we have to do
with what we love about Bearing, they know what they do well, and they just keep doing it well. And all of their optics are really good. So, all right, take a breath. Pulsar, Pulsar has been busy as always. One of the leaders in the industry for several years now. They've got a big name, and a lot of times, and many times, they're on the cutting edge of technology as well. And they flex their muscle several times a year. But so we've got that was released recently, the Thermion Pro XP50. You got the XP50 Pro, the XP50 Pro LRF. Those were released. That's with the upgraded sensor on it. We've got 2 different the Axion models, y'all. The last couple years. Jason and I can't even keep up with it sometimes, but they're so.
I cannot keep
up. There are some new Axion models. They kind of slimmed it down a little bit, which is pretty good. But they got the Axion 2 XQ35 and the XQ35 LRF. That's with the laser rangefinder. You got the Axion 2 XM30F. And then you got the Axion 2 XG35 and XG35 LRF. So I want to break it down real quick.
I love how we call slimming down 5 models.
I know. Exactly.
But there's a lot. It is. Axions are confusing.
So
a lot of models.
A lot of people out there are wondering, like, I had a guy yesterday, what do the letters mean? So if you see an XQ in the model of a Pulsar optic, that's a 384 resolution optic. If you see an XM, that's a 320 resolution. If you see an XP or an XG, that is a 640 resolution. So I know once you figure that out, though, it makes it a lot easier. And usually the number is coordinates somewhat to the objective lens size. But so you got those 5 different Axion models. Again, those have moved around, but very good models. You got the brand new optic that's coming out that we have not demoed. We have not tested yet, but we will very, very soon. The Thermion XQ35. People are like, what the heck is that? You will find out very soon, I promise. We got the Thermion XQ50 Pro and the Pro LRF. So that's going to be that new upgraded sensor on the XQ50 model and with the laser rangefinder, which is going to be great. They're going to have another model with a laser rangefinder that's going to be under the price of obviously that 640 resolution. One of the biggest sellers of the year, Jason, the Talion XQ38, fantastic scope. You're going to hear about it more in the Best Of series. And then the Pulsar Digix C50, which is almost seems like it's been an illusion. It's here and then gone because it's not that it's been discontinued or anything, but we sold many of them and haven't gotten any in a while. But great night
Chip
vision.
shortage.
Probably one of the best night vision optics on the market. And then the Helions. You know, you've got the Helion 2 Pro XP50, which has been, Jason and I, one of our favorite optics. Helion's always been strong. Continues to be really a leader in that thermal manufacturer class. And then last but not least, I know this has been long, y'all, but we just had to recap the Sightmark. Can't forget about the night vision stuff. The 4K Mini. Obviously, you got the 4K Max. We are demoing, and we've got them now. We're going to be talking about them a lot. Is the new Sightmark night vision monoculars. And again, I had a guy call about it yesterday, and I was like, man, how did you even know about it? But there's a lot of you that stay on the Sightmark and Pulsar and manufacturer websites, I promise, because y'all are hearing about some of this stuff not too much after we are. But kudos to y'all for staying informed. So Envision, oh gosh, man, and we're going to talk about the Halo XRF, I'm sure, here later on as it pertains to the 1280. But what Envision has done with their Halo X series was basically, and we talked about this when they were released, they have done what nobody else has been able to do. So they've included on their BAE thermals, their BAE thermal sensors and thermal cores, video recording, onboard video and audio recording, rechargeable batteries. I mean, they're great. Obviously, the image that everybody expects and gets whenever they purchase an Envision optic. But you got the Halo XRF that has the laser rangefinder. There's a lot going on with that scope. Laser rangefinder, video recording, rechargeable batteries. You got the Halo X50, the Halo X35. The sleeper, man, I tell you, that the Nox 35 has been just people. I don't know if it was the show that we did recently about it, but those things have been flying. Probably one of the, and I think probably one of the most versatile thermal optics, higher end thermal optics on the market, with everything that you can do with it. And probably my favorite Envision optic, the Nox 35, and then the Nox 18, which is the helmet mountable optic from them, handheld, weapons mountable. I mean, Envision, again, I don't want to say slow and steady, but they know what they do well.
They know what they do.
They know what they do well, and they continue to do it. And that's making improvements to their current line. The Nox 35 and 18, those were huge surprises, I think, when they came out, that they were even dabbling in the helmet mounted stuff, and the ability to weapons mount it as well. But I mean, they'll throw out a surprise every now and then for sure, like, working on and getting this accomplished with the video recording. But their bread and butter, obviously, that 640 BAE core and sensor, which, I mean, people have now associated them with, and rightfully so, some of the best optics on the market. And they've earned it, and kudos to them because they continue to do it.
Okay. I'm going to tell you something. That was, thank you. You went over a lot in a fairly short amount of time there. I will say this. Now we're going to have to rush the rest of our show because we're way over halfway done, and we haven't really discussed anything yet. So let's jump into this discussion. That's that does bring you up to speed with kind of, it gives you an idea. Let me tell you this. While he was talking, I thought of multiple optics from each manufacturer that he didn't mention, just because there's too many. And so hearing that, now you can understand, why the confusion is there and why people are like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to buy. And the models that he named, there will be, I would say this, within 6 months, 20% of them will be gone, and there'll be an additional 40% more. I mean, that's the way the market.
And I know that the list was long, but a lot of these optics we've talked about this year on this show that we've reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how busy of a year it's been and how much is coming out, but so let's talk about this 1280.
Okay, so a new era has dawned. I think that, again, this is an example of one of those, where were you when 1280 dropped? Okay, I understand that to the average hunter, the average guy, the average person, they say, that sounds really cool, but it's $18,000. I can't afford that. So what does that matter to me? Very good question. And I think it means to you exactly what it meant when the first cell phone came out, the first computer came out, the first TV came out. I think that, and you're going, well, wait a minute, this isn't the first thermal. Okay, but it's the first, handheld cell phone. It's the first color TV. It's these, and I'm going to go into a little bit of this here in a minute, talking about some of these things and how I think it relates. It is something that changes a market. It changes an industry, and it starts at the top and works its way down. There is, in technology, it does not ever start at the bottom and work its way up. That's not how a technology works, especially with electronic technology. It always starts out expensive and it gets cheaper. So let's just go ahead and say this right now. I don't think this is going to hurt one single sale of the $18,000 RS75. And that is, guess what, guys? In 3 years, it won't be $18,000. Okay. I don't know what it'll be. There'll be a new scope, but it won't be $18,000. The price will have to come down because that's what technology does, and that's the way that it works. So I think we all know that, but there's still early adopters who have the finances to make those purchases, and we need those guys. All right. So here's what I want to say. I'm gonna preach here for just a minute. We've got to stop a lot of this hate that I'm seeing and hearing. It's out there mostly on social media about this particular optic. There was this hate was on some of the Envision optics before from some people, and now some of those guys who own those optics are hating on this. We've got to quit this, guys. Just because it's out of the budget that you would be willing to spend. Again, there's guys that have got $18,000 laying around. They could go buy it if they wanted to, but it doesn't mean they're going to. So I don't want to say anybody who doesn't buy it can't afford it. No, we know that there's people that go, I'm frugal. That's just not something I would spend my money on. Totally understand that. I get that. But there are guys who will, and we need those guys too. Because by those guys buying that, and those guys, they're financing, they're the early adopters. They're the guys that are financing this and making this cheaper. It's what is going to allow Infrared to say, okay, we sold X number of these. We want to double that. What can we do? How can we get this thing cheaper? And it's going to help other companies come in and go, hey, wait a minute, there's people buying this. We need to look into maybe a 1280. We need to explore this. And so I want to bring this up, and I'm going to go down this rabbit trail, and that's what it is for just a minute. Hans doesn't know that I'm going to do this. He said we could talk about what we wanted to. So this is what I want to do. I want to talk about how expensive this is, and I agree it is. But I want to relate this to some other technologies, and I want to go backwards in time, and let's look at this, and maybe you can see why Hans and I aren't concerned about the price. We're just glad that it's here. So I'm going to do this quickly. I took some notes last night. I did a bunch of research on this. If we go back, the first handheld cell phone was a Motorola Dynatec 8000X. It would talk for 1 hour, and you could store 30 phone numbers in it. In 1982, that was a $4,000 phone. In today's money, that is over $12,000. Now, if in 82 I was still a toddler, had I been around, I'd have been like, that's stupid. Who needs a $4,000? Again,
Yeah.
well, really 12,000 in our terms. But man, I'm glad somebody bought those things
Yeah.
because now, I run a business. I run an entire business off of a cell phone, a mini computer. Moving on here quickly. Just think about this. This is when, I was graduating high school in the 90s and moving into the 2000s. Cell phone minutes. You had a plan and you got so many minutes, and then if you went over, you used more than that, you had to continue to pay. I found some flyers and stuff from the late 90s, early 2000s. Cell phone minutes averaged about 40 cents per minute, and if you were calling in the middle of the day in peak times, they would be higher, they would be lower at night. Inflation, that's about $1.23 a minute. That seems crazy. I'm gonna move quick here because I want to talk about some of this. This is going to surprise you. TVs, all right. In the 50s, TVs were mostly black and white. They were about $189 to $500 for like a console type TV. That's $2,000 to $5,500 in our day. So that was a big purchase, but it was something the family could save up for, make that purchase knowing they're going to keep it for hopefully several years, many years. But color TVs came in the 50s. And in today's terms, well, back then they were $1,000 to $1,300. And these weren't the very first, by the way. They had color TVs before. These are 5 years in. They were $11,000 to $14,000. And somebody bought those. All right. Now let's just talk about flat screens. Let's talk about plasmas in general. In 2001, and this is not the first flat screens. I want to be clear of this. We're talking about 42-inch plasma screen TVs. All right. These weren't the first little bitty 12-inchers. Fujitsu had one 42-inch in 01 with $17,000. In 02, Sony had a 42-inch for $14,000. In 03, Hitachi had a 42-inch for $12,000. Fast forward, we go all the way to 09. LG came out with a 50-inch for $3,500 and turned the market upside down. So, guys, most of y'all listening to this, you're like Hans and I in 2001, 2003. That doesn't sound that long ago.
Yeah.
And flat screen TVs were $17,000 and people were buying them. Okay. All right. So now let's bring this back home. Let's talk about thermals. Most of us have not been in this market long enough to remember this, but just going back to 2010, I did some historical pricing. Found some stuff. In 2010, L3, who is now not known for thermal, they had an X200 XP monocular. It was a 160 by 120 resolution. This was marketed to not only law enforcement, but also hunters. It had a human detection range of up to 400 yards, and it sold for $8,850. That was a 160 by 120. Today you can buy an AGM Taipan TM160 for $399. Okay, we are 12 years down the road. $8,850. You can get it. And most people that are into thermals and into thermal hunting go, I don't want that little thing, but you'd $8,800. In 14, FLIR had a 336 by 256 19 millimeter 30 hertz resolution monocular for $5,000. Night Optics had which again, another company's gone, had a 640 30 hertz 4-power optic for $13,300. And ATN, who was a big player back in the day, back in the early days of thermal hunting optics, They had a 320 60 hertz. Because, see, 60 hertz was a big deal back then. This was in 2014, and it was $8,600. Guys, and those are actual, those dollars are $14. I didn't inflation adjust those. I'm making the point that while $18,000 sounds crazy today, $18,000 is not crazy. It's not crazy when we compare it to the 1950s and TVs, to the 80s and cell phones, to the 2010s, whatever you call that, of thermal. It is not. And so a lot of people just haven't been around this industry long enough to remember that. Yes, and I don't say all that to justify and say everybody should go buy one of these. No, I'm not at all saying that. I'm saying stop the hate, understand historically where we've been from, and look at this as a positive. If you are a night hunter who uses thermal and intends to make more purchases over the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, maybe getting your kids into it, what have you, the 1280 will absolutely bring the price of your optic down and or the quality up. Okay, so if the price of your optic stays the same, then the quality is going to have to go up, because the 1280, we've already said it's going to start dropping. I mean, it's going to take a few years, but when it starts bringing downward pressure on 640 scopes that are $5, $6, $7, $8, $9,000 today, when that 1280 hits $12,000 or $14,000, there's going to have to be some changes.
Yeah.
You know, and what happens again? Who knows how long this takes? But what happens when that 1280 is $10,000 or $8,000? You're not going to sell the current 640s that are $5,000 or $6,000. I mean, there's this downward pressure, and it is exciting. And you know what's going to happen, guys? 1280 is not the end. Yeah. There's going to be something bigger and better than 1280. I mean, if we're left on this earth that long, I may not, don't know how long it'll take, and if I'll live to see it. I mean, if I'm still alive, and again, I don't mean this like it's going to take 100 years. All right. In short order, there will be something better than 1280.
They're going to install a chip in our brain, and it's just going to be your one eye is thermal and the other eye is normal. So, man, you brought up some excellent. You get the gold star. You did your homework for this show. Thank you for that. That's excellent examples of what's going on. So, our excitement about the 1280, and whether you don't like iRay or you don't, the ATN people hate the Pulsar people. The Pulsar people hate the iRay people. It's just, I get it. Everybody's got their brand that they love. Our excitement, and again, this is no defense of Infrared Outdoor. This is not a sales pitch for the 1280 scope. Our excitement about 1280 resolution is all founded, and the foundation of it is what this does for the industry and for the market. As Jason's examples show, this is great. Whether most 99.9% of people don't have $18,000 to spend on a scope. I and Jason being one of them. And we, but with that being said, that should get everybody excited, because if you are a Pulsar fan and all you're going to buy is Pulsar, that means, you know what? Pretty soon you're going to get better choices. You're going to get better pricing. I mean, it's going to affect everybody, whatever brand you are into, whatever brand you like. Envision, same for them. It's going to drive them even further. I mean, it's really, again, the excitement is not necessarily for cheerleading for Infrared or for iRay USA. It's the industry. And when you see monumental changes like this and what it does for the future, it's very exciting. And no matter what brand you like, and that's why we wanted to do this, and why we had to highlight this event, is for that very reason. I think that, when people call up now and they ask about, man, that Halo XRF, man, it's $9,500, but it's a great deal. At $9,500, that seems like a really good deal compared to an 18,000 scope. Now you see how that release has changed the mindset of the industry, where, that fantastic scope, which is still, one of the best scopes on the market, now seems like a much better deal. And the fact that iRay came out with this scope, if you're a Pulsar fan, if you're Envision fan, that should not be a personal insult to you at all. I mean, it's not anything to be offended by. It's a company that released something, but if you're a fan of your brand, that means your brand's going to get even better. I promise you. And so,
competition.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. I mean, let's just boil this all down to competition improves quality and pushes down prices. And so, I mean, I can just think of all these other, there was some truck manufacturer or car manufacturer was the first person to put a screen with a backup camera. And I'm sure that everybody else went, well, that's dumb. And now my wife gets in her truck and her backup camera broke the other day, and she said, I can't even back out of a parking space.
Yeah,
I'm like,
my wife the same way.
There's two mirrors on the side and one up there on your window.
Yeah.
You can handle it. But I mean, it is, though. Somebody has to do it, and that competition is what this market needs.
Unless you're Jason's mom, who hates backup cameras. I'll say that.
That's true. She's told you.
Yeah, she did tell me about that. But so our excitement again about the 1280 is really spurred by the industry and what this means, and I think that it's a great thing. Again, whether you're whatever fan or brand, there's a lot of people that have been picking that scope apart. And after the show that we did, there's this wrong with it. There's this wrong with it. $18,000 for this. We just sit back and smile. And it's not because we know we're going to sell hundreds of those things, because we're not. We know that. And I think iRay, they are trying to push the industry as well. And they've been doing that with a couple of their optics. We know that this isn't going to be the number one selling scope sold, but at the same time, we know that it just helps everybody else. So with that being said, and with all that being said, the question is, where do we go from here? I mean, what is on the horizon, and what do we see, Jason? And I mean, I think it's a lot more of the same, but maybe just sped up. I don't know.
I think that what we're going to see, and I hate to put timelines on this.
Yeah,
okay?
I know. We're never right.
We're never right. Just whatever we say is going to be wrong. But I think what we're going to see, and I'm going to just say in the next couple years, okay, that gives me some room. I don't think, I'm not predicting it in the next 12 months, okay? So I'm going to say in the next couple years, I think we will see at least one, and I am not saying this with any inside knowledge. I'm just saying, generally speaking, I think we'll see at least one, if not multiple, other current thermal manufacturers on the market today making thermal hunting optics, because that's all we're talking about is hunting optics, with a 1280 or a 1024 or some sort of HD thermal sensor. I think everybody had it on the brain of, wouldn't it be cool? I mean, all these this is what you do. Think about the guys that are in the back rooms designing these scopes, trying to make them as good as they can. Their dream, every one of them, is to take a super high resolution sensor and stick it in there.
Yeah.
And I think it takes one person or one brand to do that, and then everybody else goes, okay, not only can it be done, we need to figure out how to do it. And we need to figure out how to do it less expensive than that. What can we do, guys? Let's start working on, this chip manufacturer. Start working on this thermal sensor manufacturer. Let's see what we can do. And I think that in the next, again, couple years, those backroom discussions are going to be going on between engineers and people on the buying side and the marketing team going, what can we do? What can we really sell this for? What can we make it for? And so I think there will be more. I think that is going to happen. Again, it's not going to happen tomorrow. I'm not making predictions because I really don't know. this is a new era. But I think that's what we'll see, and I think we've already alluded to this multiple times. As those 1280s continue over what I'm going to say the next, I'm going to say 3 to 5 years, and it may be quicker than that, because 3 to 5 years is a long time in technology. But I'm going to say 3 to 5 years. I think by then, gosh, I hope I don't have to come back and watch this. But I think by then we will have seen that downward push, and I think it will have pushed down again some more of the pricing, or improved the current optics. Maybe it's new features. Maybe it's features that we haven't thought about. You go, well, what do I need besides video recording and streaming and laser rangefinders? I don't know. Maybe there's something else we haven't thought about. Maybe somebody comes up with some other grand idea and puts it in an optic. So I think we're going to see either the price get pushed down, or if the prices hold fairly steady, the improvements keep coming. I'll bring this up. I think optical zoom. iRay did that with their zoom binoculars. That's the very first ones we've ever seen of it. When we held those units, I said, this is the future. I think that will continue. They've got a unit, it's in the zoom, that it is a nukeless or a lack of calibration unit. There's no physical calibration. It's all done electronically. That's something. I think there are going to be little improvements, things that we haven't even thought about. I think those things will continue. And I think other manufacturers, it's not like, again, iRate thought this up and nobody had ever thought of it. I think there's guys in the back room going, man, I'd like to do that. You think we can pull that off? And somebody else does it. Somebody runs that play and they go, okay, it can be done. Now we got to go do it, or now we've got to run out there. So that's my prediction, is just the optics will or improve and prices stay the same, or prices drop. But either way, I still think things are getting better. It's just inch by inch.
Yeah, they definitely are getting better. And I think that what you're talking about is correct. And gosh, it seems like we've definitely seen the prices go down. Definitely the prices are getting more competitive as more and more optics are coming out, and it's a good thing. But if you are interested in all the things that we talked about, if you are interested in a new night vision or thermal optic, give us a call, 877-350-1818. You can talk to me. Ask for me, ask for Hans. You can talk to Jason. And please chat with the girls for a little bit too. They'd love to talk to you. So outdoorlegacygear.com. You can find all of our past episodes on the latenightvision.show.com. You can also find our show. If you are listening on the audio only versions and you want to watch, go check us out on YouTube, on Facebook, on Spotify. I think you can watch the videos on Spotify as well. And you can find all of our social media stuff, Instagram, Facebook, at The Late Night Vision Show. You can find me over on YouTube at Hans ETX, Hans ETX, and on Instagram at the same thing, and Outdoor Legacy on Facebook, on Instagram, and just about all the hunting forums, Outdoor Legacy. And we've got, Jason, more reviews coming up. Would you have ever imagined?
We do. We've got a few more reviews we're trying to squeeze in. We've got some stuff that's really hitting the market right now. Manufacturers, this is a terrible time. Don't do this to us. It's right in the middle of or not maybe not in the middle, but the ramp up to our busiest season.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you guys right now. I know a lot of you've already clicked off, turned off. We'll probably say this again sometime. There's some really good optics that are coming to the market in the next 2 to 6 weeks, and they're not going to get reviewed in this calendar year.
Yeah.
We have got too many other shows playing with our best of series for 2022.
Right.
We have got a super tight schedule. There is a lot of optics that we want to talk about. Again, stuff that is exciting, that is literally just at the cusp of hitting the market,
Yeah.
but it's going to have to wait. We're gonna try to squeeze in a couple more, but it's going to be best of series very, very soon. And then the problem is you roll into January and it's SHOT Show time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's weird to talk about January right now, but I mean, guys, the ball is rolling downhill for
That's right.
2022.
Yep.
And so SHOT will be coming. So we got a busy schedule in the next 3 to 4 months, but we're excited about it. We hope y'all keep tuning in. And as Hans said, if you're looking to purchase a night vision or thermal optic, please give us a shot at your business. We would absolutely love your business. And I think we can say that we believe we can offer some customer service that other people can't. So we'd love to have your business. Guys, hope to see you here next week. Between now and then, y'all stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.